Now, the recognition of Palestine has been gaining momentum. On May the 10th, the UN General Assembly voted overwhelmingly in favour of backing Palestine's bid for full membership. 143 countries voted in favour, 25 abstained and 9 voted against the motion, including Israel and its ally, the United States. Only the UN Security Council can grant full membership, but the vote does grant Palestine additional powers to its current observer status. These include submitting new proposals and amendments and requesting they be put to vote in the General Assembly. Israeli Ambassador Gilad Erdan condemned the move. He used a shredder to suggest the UN was destroying its own charter. Ambassador Riyad Mansour says Palestine plans to request full membership at the UN Security Council. Well, we're delighted to have with us now Yossi Beilin. Joining us from West Jerusalem, he's a former Israeli justice minister and helped negotiate the Oslo peace accords. Good to have you with us. So first of all, this is probably not the direction you thought the Oslo peace accords would take, right, in the Oslo process?
This is true, and I'm sorry that you cannot interview me from Israel and that Al Jazeera was ousted. I mean, many of what happened on Al Jazeera, the programs, the different programs, were something that I did not like, I must admit. But I think that the way to argue is to talk and not to oust the other side. So I hope that
we're happy to have you, Mr. Beilin, and happy to talk with you. So,
thank you. Now, the issue of what happened since Oslo, I think that in many ways this is the victory of the extremists on both sides. Those groups were not ready to partition the land. And the key is the partition of the land. And we know by now how will be the partition. It will be 22% for the Palestinian state and 78% for Israel. And if it with land swaps, which will be relevant and accepted by both sides. I don't have any reason why not to recognize the Palestinian right to have their own state. I believe that it is vital for Israel, not only for the Palestinians, to have the two-state solution. The question is about this recognition. I mean, when my friends abroad asked me about whether or not to recognize, I said that I will not be in a position to ask them not to recognize a Palestinian state. But they have to remember there is no Palestinian state, regretfully. And when I talked about it with Yasser Arafat, Allah yirhamu, in 1999, when the European countries were ready to recognize a Palestinian state in a period of a year, we are speaking about February 1999, if there is no permanent agreement. And I asked him his view about it. And he said, Yossi, of course, it is very important for me to feel that the world is with us and that European countries support us and they are ready to recognize a Palestinian state. But he said, it is already, I remember the number then, it is already that we have a support of 123 countries, but we don't have a state. And what I'm worried about, he said, is that the world will recognize a non-existent Palestinian state, will, of course, make you very, very uneasy, or the government of the day. It was, by the way, still the government, or the first government of Netanyahu. But I will not get anything from this, and the world will feel that it did what it had to do, that we already have a state. So what is more important for me is to negotiate with the Israelis and to have a state, rather than to have a kind of a make-believe, which is not a state. I'm just quoting him. It doesn't mean that I'm against what is happening. Of course, if there is a country which says exactly where we are going to have the borders, it is problematic, because this should be left for the parties. But otherwise, I think that the most important thing is to recognize the Palestinian right for a state and to demand both sides to sit together and to negotiate peace and not to strengthen the extremists on both sides. This is what is really important.
I had a bunch of other questions for you, Yossi, but unfortunately, I'm being told now we have some breaking news, so hopefully we'll be able to pick up this one later. For now, thank you very much to Yossi Beilin.